What's up?
Mic it up, bro.
Gosh, I'm never gonna catch up on MILs.
Never. That's why this looks like this. Dude, look at this.
That's a big number.
It's a huge
That would
number.
give me anxiety.
It slightly does.
Mine's in the thousands.
Did you just see mine?
No.
7,390
7,300.
emails.
Is that your emails?
It was up there.
I bet I can beat.
I mean, a lot of them are ads and stuff,
Companies
but
will be like, we emailed you. I'm like,
Promos.
yeah, that's cool.
I bet I can beat that.
yeah.
So I have 27, and I'm like,
9,795 in just
Oh
one of
my
my email accounts.
Dude.
9,000?
9,000. Yeah, I don't even want my work one, but I actually answer or look at those. I get 12. I used to in my old job and position, 1,200 a week, and it was like stuff I had to do, like work.
No.
Yeah.
My
Don't
phone
work for
broke
the government,
every
kids.
week.
No way.
Don't.
Broke,
I'm not
sorry,
joking.
guys.
Yeah.
Phone broke again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just can't do it.
Why do we have comment?
All right. Well, it's 6:28.
Oh.
We got 2 minutes
we're
before we
live.
go live.
oh, what's up?
Hello. Hello, people.
Clicked out of the
YouTube
Cletus
and
video, and
Facebook.
now we have Addicted Live. Oh, hey, dudes. Jim Nelson, what up?
Word. I love work.
So when are we all going fishing, guys?
Okay, hang on. We haven't started yet. Cameron, I
haven't
got
started
something
yet.
for you.
What'd you do?
I brought you a gift.
What this is? I should be scared.
Oh, goodness.
You gotta close your eyes though.
No,
Yeah, and
We're not
open your
doing
mouth.
this.
I'm gonna put it in your mouth, and you're gonna tell me.
Whoa.
no.
No?
Oh, what?
It sounds creepy.
What are those?
Dude.
Freeze dried of the nerds. What are they? The gummy cluster nerds. Are you
No.
serious?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll be trying that online. I'm trying that here right now.
Whoa.
Once
Yeah.
I delete voicemails.
I wonder I can't ever get a hold of you.
I just don't return your call. Oh, I mean, hold on. We gotta do a taste test. Dude, these things are already like crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
Those are Cam's favorite candies. Sometimes the freeze dried thing though, it changes like the taste of like.
Doesn't quite change the taste, but there's
They're
just
good.
There's not a lot to them.
They're good, but yeah, I would probably still go with the standards.
Yeah,
Those are good though.
there's just not a lot to them. But
That'd be a
wow.
good cereal.
Just some milk with gummy freeze dried gummy nerds. Colt and I were driving around hunting. We're driving around scouting. I had a big old bag of the berry ones, and I just sitting there eating. I'm like, I slam the brakes, pull over. I'm like, hold on, so you done with these? I grabbed the bag, threw it in the back of the truck. I'm like, just sitting there eating them all day.
Gotta be done.
No,
with
those are pretty good.
I'm sure everyone can hear me crunching on them.
Whatever.
Delicious.
They're good.
Those are pretty good.
Yep.
Those definitely get stuck in your teeth a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. What do you got there? Mmm. Okay, well,
It's bingo.
is it time to start yet?
Yeah, it's 6:31. We're live.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? No, just kidding. Clint, what a sweetheart. I know, Dean. No, we gotta be nice to Clint tonight.
Why?
If he gives us candy at the start of the live feed, we'll be nice to him. That's like,
Forced to be nice.
or maybe only 30 minutes. Hmm?
We were not sorting through John. Not today.
We hooked a couple.
Chumley.
Who is that?
Mm.
Who is that?
Who is that?
Who is that? Who are you?
Hey, great to see you
Probably
guys.
know your
Missed last
face,
week's show,
but
Shane.
Maybe not
Well,
not your name.
last week we talked about twitching. And if you still wanted to see last week's show, it's on the YouTube channel. You can go check it out.
Or Facebook.
Yep,
They
just
don't
got
last long on the YouTube.
Oh, they don't last long on YouTube?
No, they come down on the YouTube, but they stay up on the Facebook.
You gotta go look on the old book of faces and get them there. Just got a craft drift boat and ready to target some koyos. Josh, sounds
Nice.
good. There are definitely a few around. James says, Cameron, are you fishing for steelhead now? I wish, but no, but very soon. You better get your dates down quickly.
Mine are starting to go.
Yes.
I joined you a couple times last year, and every time it was fantastic.
It was a fun. It was the year that was the gift that just kept on giving. It was fun. That was spring, summer, fall, winter. Yeah, it was. It didn't suck. Did not suck.
Yours on, Charles.
He's trying to get you to his van afterwards.
Luring you in with
Okay, Clint's like, free candy, boys. Free candy.
It is down.
You guys fish plastic worms for salmon. We got a mission.
No.
We're gonna report it. Should we tell? Should we tell what we're gonna do tomorrow?
No.
No.
Nope. We're gonna.
It's up to you. That's your
Okay.
gig.
No, all right.
We're gonna save it.
They already know.
Nope. We're gonna save it.
This is happening.
Yeah, we've talked about it like a lot.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Well, let's just say Bassmaster Cam's coming out tomorrow. To play.
Oh boy.
It's on. It's on.
We shall see.
We shall see if it's on.
Are you gonna bring those 90 screens you got in your boat?
Hey, I got to bring a portable, like 4 forward-facing sonar units and some power poles off the back of the old drift boat. Yeah, we can do that.
Why not?
We can do all that. Looks like Cameron is going to give us all crabs tonight. Well, I didn't give you. I didn't give you crabs, but I gave all my clients crabs yesterday. It's pretty
Nice.
good. Pretty good deal. Pretty good deal.
Know where you can go get some crabs.
Yeah,
Easy.
yeah, crabbing is phenomenal, which is why we're going to talk about it, guys, because, you know, it's the time of year. You know, you can crab year-round in Oregon and I think in Washington, maybe not in the Puget Sound areas, but for the kind of the Columbia River and some of the Oregon coast stuff, there's plenty of opportunity, but there's definitely better times of year to crab, and that generally involves the winter months because the crab are the most full and generally the males are the most plentiful. We're kind of in that season right now also before some of the commercial stuff begins to start in December and January. Depends on the year. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but that's why we're going to talk about crabbing tonight, guys. It's a great opportunity to go out and get some of the best tasting freaking critters, sea spiders that crawl along the floor. We had some last night, and you know, it's kind of funny because, you know, we can get crab just about year round here.
Mhm.
But it's like if you wait and you only get it like kind of seasonally, like that first time you get it,
right,
you're like,
and it
yeah,
makes it-
ooh,
yeah.
yeah, that's good stuff. So, yeah, man, had a great time. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But before we do, we got to give a huge shout out to Stevens Marine for sponsoring this live feed as always. And if you guys are one of those poor saps that winterize your boat, like, come on, really, it's the Northwest. It don't get that cold. But if you do, check out Stevens Marine. But hey, springers are coming. Winter steelhead's coming. I can tell you, if you need a boat, check them out. Tigard or Milwaukee, hit them up. They
I
will
figured
help
you don't
out.
need to winterize it if you keep using it.
Well, that's just part of it too. Yes, sir. You can get crabs at the Super 8 in Vancouver. Where do they sell them out of a truck bin, or how do you know? Like, I'm trying to figure out if it's from
He's
personal
talking-
experience or not.
He's talking inappropriately.
No,
But
he's
yeah.
not. He just said crabs. I don't know what he's referring to, but I'm kind of curious. Please elaborate how you know that. I bet you did give your clients crabs. I did, 12 of them to be exact. Yep, 12 nice, full Dungeness crab. We're just going to try to get all the crab jokes out of the way.
Yeah,
Just
right
right
now,
early
yeah.
and just get it
not
done.
good
Every time you
And
say,
then we're just going to just
I was
move
like,
on.
every time you
Cameron
say
really
you
not
have to
picking up what people
clarify
are putting
Dungeness
down?
crab.
Dungeon, yeah, if I just say Dungeness, yeah,
We were already making
Just
the
say
same
Dungeness.
jokes out fishing. We were doing the same thing.
yeah, right. It's how it goes.
It's the month
that
that end in
How
R,
many of you
though, right?
guys? So let's start out with this question. You guys know that if you're commenting on the live feed, we will have some prize packs. I don't really have any crab-centric prize packs to give away, but we will. Jason's going to formulate one right now from the box of goodies that we have behind us. But let us know. You guys been crabbing? Are you here to learn? You never gone? Want to go? Never tried it? Thought about trying it? But we're going to talk. We brought Charles in here too. Because, you know, believe it or not, you don't need a boat to crab around here, and there's lots of opportunities to get at them from the bank. And sometimes, you know, when the weather's bad, it's actually safer even to do so. So we brought him. He's got some other cool tricks and stuff. We talk about some of the jetties and docks that you can be able to do. Yeah, so it should be a good conversation. So have you guys been crabbing? Do you want to go crabbing? And then we need to talk about something else I need to talk about with you guys. I think, like, I was looking through the upcoming clam tides. I feel like we need to do a live razor clamming soon.
I
Let's do
have an idea for that.
Okay.
I have an idea.
I got a couple
Well,
extra guns, and we can
What's
go do that.
everyone's favorite bait mixtures? We will talk
How
about
about
that.
We could fly the plane up, land on Copalis,
That
crab.
would be cool,
What?
except for that would be involve me flying in a plane with you that
Yeah.
you're piloting.
I would.
Yeah.
Not
would
gonna
That's
happen.
all right.
do
I'm
that.
down.
Make sure you have
I've
a good
never
insurance
flown
policy.
before, so that'd be
I
cool.
do. I have 2 life insurance policies now.
Jason better pick some good gear. Dakota says he's here to learn. Was just at the LC crabbing. Yes, one time a year. Says Joaquin, taking my son's Boy Scouts troop crabbing Saturday. That's right. I think you're going to end up with that pot right there, Ben. Here to learn. Teach away. Professors, Midwesterners living in Tacoma, ready to start crabbing. Yep. First steel trip. 15 to 12 pound fluoro for lower drifting eggs and beads. 15 mono, good for spinners. Yes, yes, and
Yep.
yes.
Yes.
And twitching late
3
season
times.
codes, 20 pound mono, good.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, but with a 20 pound mono like on top of a braid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even a mono's
Go back
got
and watch
that,
last week's live feed.
Mono's got that stretch. On
Yeah.
fluoro.
Yeah. You want to.
Well, fluoro.
Yeah.
Or just
yeah.
straight braid.
Never been crabbing.
Yeah,
Been to
colors,
Newport a
right?
few times. Waiting till a little fuller, and that's Fair Scott. Yeah, they are there. Chicken. I'm assuming you're talking about bait, Joaquin. I have not went crabbing in a long time. I've been crabbing before. I use clam guts for bait and crab fishing. Yeah, that's
not
a
a bad
very,
idea.
very productive bait. We'll talk about some of the baits. If you guys have any questions about crabbing and whatnot, we can get into that here a little bit. And yeah, I went crabbing when I was younger in Day Island. Day Island? I don't know where Day Island is. Yeah. Anyways, but crabbing's good. But what have you guys been up to? You guys been doing any fishing? Let's talk about this while people are answering the crab question. What's been going on?
Fishing, A-run coho fishing, starting to kind of trickle off, but there's still some fish around. There's still some fresh pods rolling in every day, and we're just picking on them like usual.
I've just been still plucking away at the Columbia, and then finally still been pretty decent actually, and then finally did my first tributary day. Called me up and told me, hey, you want to come jump in? I was like, sold. Let's go.
We had a
That's not a hard. That probably wasn't a hard sell.
And I was worried about having enough gear. Went out to the garage and had about 50 blue foxes and 75 jigs, and I was like, well, obviously I've just been buying stuff.
prepping.
On it.
Prepping.
Well, I can tell you, like, it's funny because, like, you talked about how they're still in the Columbia, and you're talking about some of the tribs, and if you're willing to travel and find some, like, heavier water, it's like you're finding good cohos in the trib. But the Columbia River, when I was out there last, it was phenomenal fishing, and I mean, we were still in the Columbia. Like, they were outside the tributary mouth. Like, they weren't even interested in moving, and they were just big, beautiful, bright cohos and a few Chinook that were like purple, scales falling off, sea lice. It's just as good as you would catch out in the ocean, up in the Columbia. So it's like there's still ample stuff kind of going on everywhere. So
there's not a ton of them, but like we were talking earlier, when I marked them, I got them.
Oh, so. Dude, you're right. There's not a ton of them, but like the water temperatures have cooled to where like every time we'd go over them with our electronics, like they'd come look. There wasn't very many that went by and went, no, I don't want to deal with it. They were aggressive as heck. So
they were
snappy fish. Yeah.
Traveling for the baits. Snappy.
Yep. Braid is so frowned upon up here in New York, where I will be. Fresh steel pods. Last few days, wanted to try. One thing I will say, like Grizzly, like, and I don't know much about fish in New York because I went there for 5 days and fished one day in New York, and it sucked. New York's a crappy. No, I'm kidding. We went there and it rained too much, and we knew it rained too much, and I didn't want to go there because we knew it rained too much, and then anyways. I could see why you guys probably don't use a lot of braid, at least in like some of the smaller tributaries and creeks. Now that Niagara, that was like as big as it gets. Like, yeah, I can see why you'd want. But yeah, I mean, if you're not casting long distances and stuff like that, you lose like kind of the benefits of having a no stretch main line.
Right.
So maybe there's a little bit of that too. But over here, like when you're kind of like making longer casts and doing longer drifts and stuff, like having the braids, I think it's really important. But
it's necessary.
Yeah,
definitely.
Max would say there's no fish in the Columbia because he hasn't caught any in like the last 4 weeks. So,
Corey, I'd have to agree with you. I haven't used a lean cod carcass in a long time, but growing up down at the coast, when we did use them, I'd never been harassed by more sea lions and stolen traps than putting lean cod in it.
Oh.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, they're afraid. I mean, I've caught lean cod with crabs when they're spitting up small crabs. Like, they eat them.
I've caught a cabezon that had a full legal-sized crab in its belly.
Really?
Yeah, swallowed the thing whole.
That's nuts.
Just ate it.
One little tooth mark could swallow.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Yes, sir. Went out for steelhead and just got whitefish and a jack. Joaquin, wow. Better get your steelhead dates for over in this neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Now, Astoria, September coho better. Plus, you are by yourself, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, that
True.
coho fishery, everyone moves upriver to chase the kings, and those guys that want to stick to the coho is always a good option. Yes, sir. Let's see here. Lingcod are some scary looking fish. Absolutely. And Christine says, well, hello, gentlemen, watching from the beaches of Garibaldi.
Good spot to crab.
Yeah, good spot to crab.
Like,
Cool.
yeah.
All right, well, what do you got for a prize pack, Jason?
We got a moonshine lure spoon and a little Clio spoon. And a moonshine lure hat.
We're
That
gonna
is our
fit
prize
you
pack.
with apparel and give you some lures to catch some fish. So why don't you randomize something up for us? Pick a winner.
Whoa.
Brooke Drew, I want crabs, he says. Well, Brooke, you also won a couple lures and a hat. If you email orders@addicted.fishing, tell us you won the first prize pack from the Crabbing live feed, and we will send that out to you. Be sure to include your address. Actually, don't, because then Mike has to like respond to you and then ask you for the address, and then it's kind of funny because then Mike gets annoyed. So you do you. Oh, it's cold that does it? Oh, please include your address. Please include your address. If it's Mike's time, you know, whatever.
Mike doesn't do anything anymore.
Can't wait for pots to open up in November. On November? I wonder if there's is there an area that you can't use pots year round that I'm unaware of? I'm not saying like you guys with anything that we say, like we're going to be talking a lot of like Columbia centric and maybe some Oregon Coast Bays centric, but you got to know your local laws and regulations and minimum sizes and all sorts of stuff.
North, they have some crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, you have to like
catch cards. Yeah,
tag your crab 5 a day.
Yeah, I heard about this. So I was like, well, that does not sound fun.
And if you don't turn it in, they fine you $10.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Do not forget about fishing rod crab traps. Those can be very productive.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that too. So, how about this, guys? How many people do we have watching here? Just because. Oh, no worries. Okay, we've got almost 200 of you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you guys, what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about bank crabbing, or do you want to talk about like certain intricacies like running like your pots and your rings from the boats? Because there's a lot of little like tricks and stuff that basically can make your gear a lot more efficient, because you want everything kind of working correctly down there. And so like a couple things that we've done a lot of crabbing over the last 10, 15 years down the lower Columbia, and there's definitely like some little tricks and tips to keep your gear to make your pots work a little bit better for you.
A few tricks of the trade.
Yeah, a few tricks of the trade. So anyways, for what it's worth, what do you guys want to talk about? Let's think.
Pier crab pots.
What's a good part of the pier? I lose a lot with rings. Okay. Pier crab pots.
Boat. There's the first boat.
Jeez, that would be kind of sketchy. The pots from a kayak.
Kind of heavy, but I've seen people do it.
My neighbor does it. Dean does it all the time.
Crazy dude.
Right. That just seems nuts to me.
I don't know. I don't know if he does rings or pots, but he crabs like.
I'd much rather do a ring from a kayak than a pot.
I can tell you.
Next week.
I can tell you.
Hit me up.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Crawfish nets or baskets for crabbing?
Ben says boat, so let's do bank.
Westpo is traps and rings only till November, and then pots open up again. It's to protect molting crab from being stuck in hot. Gotcha.
Wasn't that?
Was not aware of that in Westport. I've never crabbed Westport, but yeah, like I said, every rule, there's definitely going to be like some different rules for, like I said, Puget Sound, Washington Bays, Oregon Bays. So you just got to kind of tricks with the square pots. Jeremy, that's one thing I didn't bring in today, but some of the stuff we'll talk about with the round pots will apply to the square pots. Bet you can get some winter steelhead off the. Oh, Max, shut up. Bank casting and throwing from docks, catching flounders and using them as crab bait. Yep. They like to eat them. What's your favorite type of crab pot style to use? I will tell you here, Oregon, Danielson Pot Improvements. Like I said, I didn't bring one, and what's funny is I do have a couple of them.
Oh, I should have brought mine.
I
That's
do
all
have
I
a couple of them, but I didn't bring them because I wasn't very smart.
You got to do the mods.
The mods, yeah. But I don't usually use them either, so it's like
Yeah, that's all I
So,
have. That's all I
A lot
use.
of mix. A lot of
Yeah,
mix.
it's a good mix here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a toss of the coin. What do you want to start with? I think I've seen more bank.
You know how to catch them in the
Bank
boat.
stuff?
What are the tricks for the bank? I say let's fire with the bank.
All right.
Let's do the bank. So, a couple things, guys, when you're crabbing on the bank. This can be docks, piers, bays. There are some shores that you can like drive out to and run like small kayaks or cast from the shore. But Charles brought in some of the stuff, and looks like you brought in some of the things that I brought in as well.
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
that is cool.
I found one on Facebook Marketplace. Lady had a couple of these traps for sale for like
What?
$12. So I
There
was
you
like,
go.
deal.
That's why I brought Charles in, guys. Wanted to bring him in to give you guys a different perspective on some of the bank stuff.
Yeah, and I have a couple little tricks that I use, especially with these folding traps.
Yep.
Last
year we filmed an episode with those, and I brought some. I bring those out. So I take clients crabbing a lot. I do a lot of crabbing in November, December, and it's like you put the pots out. It's like you gotta let them soak a little bit. So you're just sitting in there in the boat. I throw a couple rings out, but we started fishing those even with rods out of the boat. But they do work off the bank and off the jetties or off the docks as well.
Yeah, they're really fun. You actually get to see the bite.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like they are. You see it going.
The
Yeah.
clamp.
So, I mean, it is really interactive. It's really fun. I started really getting into it the last few years, and now it's something I look forward to doing every single year. But I also noticed there's some flaws in these, so I started adapting a little bit, started figuring them out, and it definitely helps with them. But you can buy these things. I see them at Walmart. They got them at England's. They got these traps everywhere. They're actually relatively cheap. I think at Walmart they're like $12.
So what are these called? These are just a trap.
Yeah,
I just call it a trap or a snare.
Yeah, I call them the folding traps,
Okay.
obviously because they fold. They're
Hold up.
a lot of them are spring loaded here, but these springs wear out. And this is one thing that I'm going to get to here. Has a little bait holder here, which I don't use too much. I do stab it through my chicken. I actually brought some chicken to show how I
so
put
here
them
we
on
go.
too. So what the concept here is that you're going to hook your main line up to this swivel right here, and it's going to kind of close it with your bait inside of it. And then as you cast it out there, it's going to, what you want it to do is to lay out flat. But see, they have issues like this where they don't want to lay flat. And I've noticed it when I'm crabbing, right when you cast, you notice that it doesn't really open all the way. And then what happens is you see your rod going off, and you think that you got some crabs, and you pull up.
Because when you cast these things off jetties or off docks, you'll actually see your rod start to kind of like walk and do some like pretty funny stuff.
So what I did instead of messing with these is I buy these, but I also buy, you got to put these little leads in the bottom, and the leads will all depict on flow, the current inside there. Sometimes you're not just there during, the slack, and so you'll have a little bit of current, and I just start zip tying.
Mm-hmm. You gotta have leads to cast it and
to get it out there. And so unless you're off of a dock or something, you're just letting it down, but a lead's going to help you no matter what, get it down there.
Yeah.
And so I just zip tie them right on the bottom there. What you don't want to do is try to zip tie it in the middle right there, because it'll keep this thing from opening up. So I just use leads. I've gone up to like maybe 10 ounces. I got 9 in this one because it was moving around down there. When I'd cast it out, you could see it just slowly moving. I was still getting a crab or two here and there, but if it's not sitting on the bottom where they're at for a decent period of time, then the odds you getting them are going to be a little less. So I started adding a little bit more lead until it just stays. But the one thing that really helped me out with these traps was these little $3. You can get a whole little container of these little bungee cords at Walmart for $3. So what I did was I just started hooking them on here on the outside of the trap so that it had a little bit of resistance out here. So it helped keep this open, so that when that thing falls, it pops open so much easier. Now we got all this stuff here. It's getting all tangled up.
Yeah, these are a little finicky to use. Oh, there you go.
Right. So instead of this guy here, it's just on that little spring, and the springs break. I put that bungee cord on there so that this thing snaps open like that.
Yeah.
And this bungee's been used. I'll change these bungees out as they stretch out. But this has helped not only keep the trap semi-open when you're casting it so that it opens up better, but when it hits the water, it almost comes out flat every single time now. then what I do with my bait here.
Yeah, they have the little spike there. But...
Right.
Grabber stick.
So then what I'll do is I'll take. I typically use a lot of chicken for this, so it's cheap. So what I'll do is I'll take that piece of chicken. I actually brought some.
Dude, you don't have to bust. Don't get your hands all dirty.
So I mean, this stuff's super
But you
cheap.
can- yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll take that drumstick and I'll stab it right through the middle, right next to the bone right here, down this steak. And then I'll slide this down, and then I get it to where it's sideways right here, and then I zip tie 2 ends of it there. Because if that bait starts getting crooked in here and stuff, it'll start preventing this thing from opening up. It'll start getting caught on the netting. And if this thing is not opening up, you are not going to catch crabs. And I'll get sometimes 4 or 5 crabs in this thing at a time. Like, they'll be stuffed in there. And it is super heavy. So if you're going to use these and you're going to be casting them, I highly recommend getting some kind of bigger surf rod or bank, a real heavy rod, usually in like the 10 to 12 foot, because you're going to want to get that scope. You want to get it up, especially if you're in the rocks. You know, it's usually sandier out off of these jetties, but as you bring them in, obviously you're standing on rocks. There's more rocks out there. And as you bring it in, you're going to end up getting into those rocks, and you will lose your traps, and the wave will blow it into the rocks. So you want something really heavy to help bring that trap up fast. And you don't have to go crazy with it. I mean, you're going to be out in the salt water. You're laying this thing down on the rocks. You can just buy a big, cheap rod that's going to be able to get this thing up and down.
I was gonna ask what rod you would use for that application.
Yeah, he
I
said
mean, you probably use a lot of different ones. But...
Right. I do. I have an older ugly stick that I've had since I was a little kid that I've been toting around with me forever that I use. I also have a Talon rod that I've been using, and I have a 12'3" Guide Select Classic, the same ones that we use for the bow rods for trolling, and that thing works really well too. But I mean, you are banging them in the rocks and in the sand and stuff, so I wouldn't go all out on it. You're going to end up ruining gear.
You need a meat pole that can cast, an 8-ounce, 10-ounce lead with all that crap.
Right. And still be able to.
Plus a chicken leg in there.
When this thing has a lot of crabs in it, even just 2 of them, I mean, that's like a piece of plywood.
It was so funny when we were fishing those out of the boat. You'd see your rod start to kind of like wiggle. And you're like, oh, there it is. And you'd set the hook and be like, you knew right away when you had one because it was heavy.
It's
heavy. It's a couple pound crab.
It gets heavy. I mean, you'll get a workout doing this, but I love it. It's really productive for me. A lot of times during this time of year, I bring this with me and my fishing rod. So I'm doing going and getting my limits of crab. I mean, last year I had a day where I went out crabbing, got my limit of crab, stopped by the river, got a winter steelhead in November, and then ran up to the truck, then decided to go right back down and got my co. So I had my fish limit and my crab limit. I almost went back for my clams.
I was going to say, I'm like, where's the razor clam?
I was going for it. I had my gun. It was a clamming day, but I didn't want to get greedy. And I was just like, oh, go.
Done the big
Didn't want to get home too late.
So these are my favorite. You can use any kind of leads you want. It don't matter. These are my favorite. They're very easy to use. You can also buy the little pouches for bait to put inside of here. So you can do not just chicken, whatever kind of concoction that you're going to use. You probably have some for your...
Well, I've got these are more like for pots and stuff, but I got like, this would be a pretty exaggerated version of that.
Right.
You got some of these guys too. These guys are freaking fantastic.
Right, they at Walmart they do sell like little pouches. They're the little formable pouches that you can put inside of there. I use chicken.
It's something like this, but much smaller. That would look that
exactly.
fit right in there. Yeah,
exactly. And you can make stuff too. I mean, you could get some chicken wire or something and just zip tie it together and make your own little stuff. I mean, there's no skill involved in this, really. I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's real easy.
Best guest award. He was ready to get wrist deep in raw chicken for the live.
Oh man,
Charles is all out.
So these are my favorite, but there's also other ways.
We are seeing some other people suggest and talking about like the triangle ones. I'm not.
Yes, I've seen the triangle ones. I have seen them. They're a little bit bigger. I do see guys using them. I also see that they have a little bit harder time casting them than we do, but they do work.
Yeah, and then, like I said, this is just like what we have in the garages. And sometimes, you guys suggest other things that we see, and it's like, oh yeah, we'll try that like next time. And it's like, this is like literally what we actually like do and use.
Notice I didn't bring anything.
Yeah, you like eating crabs and going crabbing, and you can pull a crab pot, so you can be involved.
Dude, the last time I was at a Dungy feed, I ate
11, you killed a lot of Dungies, huh?
11 and a half
full
crab.
God.
Dude, it was so
like here's like is another bigger
that would work.
Pouch.
Yeah,
we'll talk about some of
smaller now. Yeah, I mean you can put any kind of bait in there and you can do whatever you want.
One question I wanted to ask, one question I wanted to answer, and I'm not sure if this is true, but I would imagine, and like I said, this is my interpretation of the law. He asked, the question was, if I throw my pots out, then can I use one of those snares? I know like there is distinctions on like how many units of gear you can have per crabber out. And I know for like the Columbia River, it's 3 units.
Yeah.
So like when I go and take a bunch of people crabbing, like, well, if I take me and like 5 people crabbing, I could have 18 units of gear out. So I know the day that I took the boys out and we filmed this episode last year was I had 10 pots out, but I still could have had another, another 8 units out. So like you might not want to be by yourself and then drop, I know some areas it's 2 units of gear.
Look at your local rigs.
So you're going to want to watch that. But I don't think, what I'm saying is I don't think like you can get away with like maxing extra units and then also fish this rod thing. I think it would be considered to my definition or my interpretation of that rule would be a unit of gear.
Right.
Yeah. So be careful.
I double up rods and I use, either 2 of those traps or a snare, which I'm going to talk about now. The next one is a snare, which these snares you can actually get out if you're crabbing in a spot where you got to get out a lot farther. This is going to be your ticket right here. There's tons of different variations of these. This is a really cool one that I just picked up. It's old school. I'm definitely going to be using it this year. I really like it. I did notice that a lot of times with these snares, they don't like to snare up.
You got to set the hook.
Yeah, they have an issue with them.
Oh, I have another snare. I have another type of snare too. So yeah, I got one of these guys.
What do you got? Oh yeah, yep. See, these are the ones where I feel like you could almost, this one's all right. Some of these are really thick and they don't allow you to go. So you can get these wire connectors and stuff, and you can get your own thinner weed eater line and stuff, and you can start modifying these traps too. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube too about this, how to modify these snare traps. But if you're trying to cast a long ways, these snare traps are where it's going to be at. Same concept, holds bait in there, you weight it down, and then you're waiting for them to get on there. And what happens is they get a couple of their claws inside.
You got to demonstrate it. Hold on, I'm going to be a crab here.
So you're going to be a crab?
That's some good bait. That's a good bait. Set the hook. Wham.
Boom.
Ow.
And then you got to keep tension on that.
Yeah.
You got to reel.
He's pulling hard.
Reel.
Don't stop.
Don't stop. Yeah. And these things work really good. I mean, especially for places where you got to cast them really far. I mean, when you got to get them out far, this is what's going to be your bread and butter right here. But
Stater said a rod and snare count the same as a pot. Yep, I would agree with that interpretation for sure. So,
but yeah, this is how I crab off the
these little guys are fun. These little guys are fun too. But I would say like just I don't do too much of this stuff. I bring it out just basically for entertainment value. But shoot, while you're sitting there waiting for your pots to soak, if you can get another 4 or 5, 6 keepers in the 30 minutes just playing around with rods, it's kind of worth to do. When we're out there crabbing and doing guide trips, it's kind of like, you never know if the wind's going to kick up. You never know, like, if you're going to need to go or if it's kind of chilly and you want to kind of get in and get out. And, I mean, shoot, everybody wants a nice big limited crab. So,
yeah, if it's interactive, it's real fun.
Yeah, no, it's something to do. And like I said, then people lose track of time and then they actually let the pot soak instead of bugging me on going and pulling them.
Are we going to go get them?
Yeah, we're going to go get them. We're going to go get them. So, yeah, these are good little freaking tools. And I mean, shoot, there's one that we didn't talk about, but so back in my fish and wildlife days, we would do this where we'd go to the jetty and we'd bring like a big bar rod and we would take like a big lead and then we would take a bunch of old monofilament.
Yes, that's how we did it when I was a kid.
And dude, all we would do is we'd take like, like when you unspool a reel and you just have this rat's nest and it's about that big of all the loops and just crap. Like you look at it in the recycling bin at the sportsman shows or at the retailer stores, right? You throw your recycled line here, throw your recycled line here. Well, that rat's nest is actually a pretty effective crab snare. And what we'd do is we'd put a big weight in it, and then you take like a hook or something to just tie that piece of bait as much as you can in the middle of that ball of line, and then you'd have to cast it. Now, the trick is you couldn't think like, oh, I'm going to make a ball of line this big.
Right.
Because now...
Then you're going to have a whole trap's worth.
Can't get the crab out of it.
No, I'm going to catch 100 crab. Don't work that way because you can't cast it. Once that ball starts kind of getting big, like the resistance in the air when you go to cast it just kills you. So you had to kind of like keep it pretty controlled, but it's a great way to use kind of like that old monofilament line. And then same thing, you'd cast it out, it's at the bottom, and you'd sit there and then a crab would grab it and get caught in the line. All those little points and stuff would get on their knuckles, and the rod would sit there and start to like
Bink, bink,
bink, bink, bink, and you'd reel like one or two of them in.
They're greedy too.
Oh, they are
They
greedy.
only become not greedy when they see you. As
Yeah.
soon as you get them up, like they'll ride it
Whoa,
out
like,
until they
oh.
get up to the surface and see you, and then they're like, "Well, I'm out of here."
See ya.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to pronounce this, but Skog,
Yeah.
Stojic. For me, I use 65-pound braid. I actually just cut off one of my trolling reels, and I take that with me because you don't want any stretch in it, and it has to be abrasion resistant because you're gonna be rubbing on rocks and stuff. So that 65-pound braid works perfect for it.
Something I saw that you might want to hear. That guy had a good suggestion. I think it went away. Is he was on those chicken legs. He would break the knuckle
I
off,
saw that.
and then he'd take that wire and then shove it right down the bone marrow.
Oh,
And so then you think about it, yeah,
ain't
it would
going
never
Right.
come off. That's
yeah,
a
that's not a
really
bad idea.
really cool suggestion. And like I said, next time we go and do that, and I have a couple chicken legs, like I will do that even from the
I'll
boat.
give it a try.
Yeah, so that's so I
100%.
appreciate the tips, guys. And you guys a lot of you guys are suggesting really good ones.
Yeah, and these traps they're really cheap too. I mean, this is a really
Oh,
cost-effective,
Damien says
easy way
dive
to do
for him.
it.
Shut up, Damien. We know you can dive like 60 feet in the Columbia and come up with like 500 flashers. Come on.
That would be pretty cool.
He was one of the, yeah.
Well,
He was one of the
see
guys.
Vlad's video. when
No, he
did
was
that
one of
for
the guys,
crab?
and like I do want to go like diving with them.
I
I
wanna
think that
dive.
would be sick. And he's like, oh, the crabbing is the easy part because he's like, you're only diving at sometimes like 6 to 10 feet of water.
Oh, dude.
You know,
I
I'm
wanna
like,
do that.
oh, I could probably get behind that one. So, yes, Damien, you can dive for him, and we will watch from the comfort and the warmth of our home,
But yeah,
I'd do
or
that with
above
you.
water in my boat with my 10 pots out and my heater
And the
in front
heater
of me.
right there.
You know,
I don't know if I'd do it for crabs, but I'd definitely be willing to go up north and do it for lingcod.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. These guys
That
are.
would be fun.
Yeah, these guys are legit. Make sure you know what you're doing before you start trying to dive for crabs,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah. Okay. Keep going to our new comments there, buddy. Just buy the traps you're comfortable retrieving. Sure. Got to have weighted doors on your pot. Yeah, we'll talk about pots in just a minute. Good salmon rod, plenty of backbone worked great. Yeah. Turkey legs were good. Came out one more. I saw. Yeah. So a lot of guys are kind of throwing out some of the baits and stuff. So in between talking about the bank traps, and then I'll get to the boat stuff here in just a minute. Let's talk about bait. What to use.
Hot
And
bait.
what is your favorite, bestest bait that you think works the best? And I'm talking best as in durability factor, attracting factor, only catching male, large keeper crab factor, if that's a thing. What do you think?
I'm a big chicken fan. Like, I think there's probably some better baits out there, but for me, like that's my favorite one to use. It produces for me every time, and it's super cheap.
Yeah, Walmart all the time.
I mean, you can get a big pack. I almost bought it. It's the same price as that little pack, just because I'm going to go crabbing. So I was like, man, you don't have to worry about it going bad.
Yeah.
So I mean, you get a big pack of it for like $6.
Dude,
Got the butcher
I
special.
I went into Walmart and they must have defrosted some of those big chicken half bags, and they're usually like, I don't know, 15, 16 bucks for like 10 pounds
Right.
of chicken. Well, they must have melted and then they refroze it and they had stickers on them for $7 for 10 pounds.
You're like,
So I bought every single one of them. I only had 4, but I bought them all. I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna use that because I'm not gonna eat it.
Expired chicken legs, I'm not for that. I hear this a lot with sturgeon too. They're like, oh, leave this out until it's all gross and stinky. There is a difference between a good stink and a bad stink. And I don't think that crabs or fish or anything like the rotten smell. They like stinky stuff, but naturally stinky, not
absurdly
stinky from
gross,
just letting them get
rotten stuff.
disgusting.
See, I kind of like one thing I do with my chicken too. Like this sounds like super cheap because whatever, but it's also kind of like waste not, want not. But like I'll crab with my pots, and so like for instance, like yesterday, went out crabbing, dropped our pots at 10, picked them up at noon. We had 72 keeper Dungeness and probably threw back another 40 or 50 keepers. It was
Jeez.
ridiculous. A lot of chicken. Had some other baits in there we'll get to in a minute. But like, I take the chicken out of the traps
And save it.
and throw it in a 5-gallon bucket and then just save it. I just put it in a big 2-gallon Ziploc and just throw it in the freezer. And then I take it out the night before and it fishes freaking just as good the next time I put it out. It's so funny. It's like you can really like break down like, oh, I don't even really need to buy chicken. I can go probably crab it like 6, 7, 8 times and not buy any more chicken. Like for what I used in one trip. So you can kind of like keep on reusing, especially the crabbing was phenomenal. So like our soak time was like nothing. So it didn't sit out there for like
So
half
you
a
can-
day,
you can
6-8 hours. So like they didn't have time to eat it all.
You can
Like,
conserve your bait a little bit that way.
yeah.
Nice.
So they didn't have time.
That's
But
good.
I see people so always suggesting minks. Have you ever done the minks?
Yes. Yes.
I haven't never used them.
See, my aunt, she lived down in Lincoln City, so I spent a lot of time down there every vacation, every summer, everything I spent down there. And that was one of the baits that they would sell at the bait shop down there was meat carcasses, and they do work.
It's so weird.
Yeah. So what they're talking about is there's places that raise mink for the fur,
Mhm.
and then they have the carcasses left over, and I guess do they sell them to you or do they give them to you?
They sell them to you.
They sell them
Yeah,
to you.
we used to
Okay.
buy them from this little
course.
Well, yeah,
shop in
right,
there.
right. So is it like frozen mink carcasses?
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, there you go. So you can get mink.
I wonder what
You
makes
get me?
that. I wonder what makes that so special, though.
I don't know even who thought about that,
Yeah.
Right?
but it does work.
Yeah, Vlad just saw a 2-foot pile of crabs fighting over a gaper, which is a type of clam, and that's what I was going to suggest. My favorite, hands down, no question bait is razor clam guts. And like razor clam guts, I don't know what it is about it. They eat it, but tuna is another good one. Like if you can get tuna carcasses, like tuna heads, like I'd say clams are my first, tuna, then chicken, and then salmon. And not that, and what's nice about salmon obviously is there's a lot of them around, and so we have a lot of access to carcasses right now. But someone suggested it that the seals will sit there
Yes.
and screw with your pots. And I've had times where even my wire flap that kind of goes over the bait cages has been like,
Toro.
you can tell it like got all bent like 180 degrees by the freaking our furry little friends.
When I
The
was a,
seals are taking all the crabs, guys. What the
Furry
heck?
sea friend.
when I was a kid crabbing off the docks, they would destroy rings. I mean, absolutely destroy them to where sometimes you wouldn't even get them back. They'd
Another
rip
reason
the
to
rope
kill the
right off
seals.
there, snap
Another
it off, gone.
Gotta kill them all. they
But-
take
Gotta
the
kill 'em.
Yeah,
snap
they'll
them
snap
off.
the rope off, dude. I mean, they would just take the whole trap. You
Yeah.
come back and it'd be gone.
What?
Yeah, they're ruthless.
Is turkey
No
the
way.
same as chicken?
Turkey.
Yeah, I mean, Charles said before the live he likes turkey a little better.
I think.
And I've used a lot of turkey because, like, here's the tip. Like, after Thanksgiving, sometimes stores have a little extra turkey to get rid of. And if you have to get that big old turkey and you get a couple turkeys, like, on the cheap, and they're not frozen because you defrost them because you're going crabbing, you just take an axe. Like, an axe can, like, make quick work and make some big chunks of turkey that you can just
Oh,
throw
yeah.
in the freaking thing.
Chunk, chunk,
And
chunk.
and use the giblets and the guts, too, for sure.
What about
The
cat food?
gizzards.
I haven't
I've
done
heard
the
this.
cat food
I've
stuff.
never done it.
What?
We just
Cat
don't really need
Dry
to.
or wet. I'd see guys who use cans of cat food,
Huh.
or they'll use the dry, and then they'll dump
Oh,
that
God.
Pro
Oh,
Pure
fishies.
crab oil and stuff in it.
Whatever's.
See, that's
Blend
something
up
that I am
tuna and
interested in
coon
doing is the
shrimp
scent.
and freeze and make a chumsicle. Yeah, I can see that. Like,
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
about
I
all
mean,
your
it
old
really-
Springer
really-
bait that I put in my freezer?
yeah, the old Springer
Springer bait,
yeah.
bait gets fed to bottom fish and lingcod.
You don't use that for crab?
No,
I don't.
you can only have so much freezer space, and I only want to I mean, the other one that I haven't seen anybody suggest is shad.
Someone
Like
did.
shad.
They
Oh,
got
someone did. I
down there
didn't
with
see that.
Chad.
But shad's another really
Yes.
great oily bait. I actually have a couple guys that come out on shad trips every year because they go out and they fill a couple coolers full of shad, and then they
For
take
crab
back
pots.
and then they have like a communal freezer with a bunch of old guys going
way.
crabbing all winter.
I don't want to mess with
And-
that all.
Yeah,
Oh.
what the hell was
Whoa.
that? It's a microphone.
Violence.
Mike down.
falling. Violence.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to hold on to shad that long.
Yeah, shad is, but yeah.
Shit.
John
Yeah,
Hoot.
save and throw your old razor clam shell. Yeah, there's something about a razor clam in a crab pot that just freaking does it. And believe it or not, guys, like I can tell you this, like I know a lot of the tribes, like up north, they dig razor clams for the commercial fisheries and they sell them to the commercial fisheries. Like that's not something to necessarily sleep on. Obviously, like you don't want to go like drive down to the coast, get your load of razor clams, and then just feed it to crabs. But the guts work really good. And if you do ever do razor clam guts and you put them in like that little like snare that he has, you have to put them in something small mesh, which is exactly why I got these little guys for my pots, because you can put the razor clam in there and they will absolutely tear your pot apart trying to get at that freaking razor clam. So you put them in one of these and that pot will or ring will be very productive. The other thing I see people asking about oils and the Procure stuff. If you take your chicken in a 5-gallon bucket the night before, and
I haven't tried that yet, but I definitely want to.
Dude, that crab attractant, I mean, it's like all like, and you can tell it's like all egg and just oils and meat, and it's just, it's just adding scent to your crab pot. And I can tell you, if you just take a 5-gallon bucket the night before, throw your chicken in there, and just take that goop and just and let it soak.
More oil.
I'm really interested in it because a lot of the places that I do crab, there's quite a bit of competition.
Yeah,
you're fishing side by side, so if I can get any kind of edge, like to try to get those crabs to come over my way a little bit more than the guy next to me, I'm going to do it. So I'm definitely going to try that.
Someone said putting scents on the baits or just baits or natural smell. Like, well, I mean, there's not very many like freaking butterball chickens like swimming around down the bottom. I'm sure some birds and some seagulls die and whatever, but like, we're not really like giving them a lot. Same probably the same thing with the tuna carcasses in the Columbia River. I don't know how many there are. So the crabs are attracted to just smelly, oily, decomposing things. But like what Charles said, like there are times, a lot of the bays, a lot of the marinas, a lot of the areas do get busy. Crab is extremely popular. It's extremely good eating, obviously. So people, they definitely do a lot of crabbing. And if you have a little edge, it's probably not the worst thing in the world.
Whatever you can do to set yourself apart.
Whatever, yeah. We talk about that a lot with a lot of things.
It's about where you drop them.
It's all about where
you drop them. We should talk about that too here in just a moment. So, and all about easy and works better than others. I've been side by side with people and done way, way better. Yep, Tanner, I think there is something to be said that a bait that lasts long and is easy to work with. Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh, I've seen it. Kokanee or trout.
Yep, kokanee.
I've seen people post trout.
I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, especially kokanee is super oily like salmon. Yeah, I can see.
Why not?
Yep.
I mean, a kokanee carcass, yes, but a whole
and Corey just said it too. You can take all of your clam guts and freeze them in a round container for your bait for your crab trap or cages. Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, I've put them in Ziplocs and then put them in that and then put it in the freezer. Yeah, so it's like I don't have to.
Yeah. It doesn't take much. And Jim just said if the chicken is too old or stinky, it doesn't work that well. Like kind of going with what Charles was saying, like just rotting.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Sour smelling carcass dead, versus like, oh, that's got a pretty funky chicken smell to it.
Right. Yeah, there's I think there's a line there where it's like just nasty, rotten, and just smelly good.
You don't put it in the sun for a week?
No.
Let it
Have you tried that?
Minute.
No. Are you kidding me?
I seen the way that you were with Traeger's.
Yeah, there's
pots.
no
That's
way.
Why you probably freeze those things in bags so they're all ready. You're probably just plucking them out.
See, I do.
Yeah, Traeger takes his shrimp bait very seriously.
Yes, but
it works.
Yes, it works.
Oh, it does. I think it just broadcasts this emulsified.
Oh man, I can just imagine the cloud that comes off of those
pots. Oh, dude. Let's see here. Poke holes in the Procure squeeze ball, then put it in the crab pots.
Why not? Venison
trimmings. Yeah, what's the strangest stuff you guys have? Let's do that. I feel like that could be another giveaway, and then we'll talk about pots and rings. But what is some of the what's some of the weirdest stuff you guys have heard or done and actually caught crabs within your pots? Because now people are like suggesting a whole bunch of stuff. I know people have done duck carcasses, like they've gone and shot mallards or whatever, and took the mallards, put the carcasses in there.
I did that a lot for crawdads when I was a kid. Used lunch meat and bacon. Yeah, we used to just put it on a rock, and then you'd have to wade out there and then pluck them off and throw them up on the bank real quick. So I bet you bacon would work, but bacon's delicious. So
yeah,
I know. See,
bacon.
Don't waste bacon.
I don't ever have leftover bacon.
Yeah. That's why I use clams. Clams are gross.
Clams are gross, he says.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a fan of clams either.
No, they're disgusting. They're great bait.
It's like screw the crabs.
I will turn a clam into crab.
Pike minnow. Hey, there you go.
Ooh, pike minnow.
The tagged ones?
Procure soaked
Especially the
product better than
tagline.
non-soaked. Procure soaked produced better than, yeah, I think anytime you can add
Smelts?
oils and smell like that would be good. Smelt?
Smelts,
Oh, yeah.
I
Oily?
have used smelt before.
Yeah. Oily. I have not used smelt. Salmon carcass.
Hot dogs.
Yeah. Hot dogs. Really?
That'd
No,
probably work.
that's what this guy
Oh, I've
says.
used hot dogs in a bait bag before and after crabbing. Yeah.
Yeah, all those things. I don't
Yeah.
see why not.
See, Sean says smelt. No way. I'd rather turn that into a sturgeon.
Right.
If it's turkey bacon, it's fine to waste because it's not real bacon.
True.
Damn right.
There we go.
Damn straight.
I can get behind that.
America.
Yeah, it ain't right, boy.
America just ain't right. What's up, Victoria?
Frozen
Weirdest
pork
thing
roast.
caught while grabbing.
Weirdest things: frozen small gut stuffed in
I've never
room
caught
temp-
anything
hot
weird.
dogs, maple,
Targeting crab usually.
wild
That's all I
boar,
get is crab.
dollar store mini can of cat food with holes punched in it. I
Yeah,
bet. Did it work
that's-
good? Did it work good though, Jess? Was it like
Dude,
loaded
you just
pot?
stack those things in here, like hockey pucks.
It's just like, what do they call, like a log of chew?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
log of chew. Like, yeah, you're a log of chew for the crabs.
Fishermen's and stuff.
Crab
Now, I've
chew.
seen them selling the cans. It looks like cat food, but it's like tuna bloodlines or
Right,
something.
I've seen
like,
that
I don't know
too.
what they're calling
It's
it.
the same manufacturer that sell not for the stuff baits that we use. And
Yeah.
stuff. They have the same thing, yeah.
But, ooh, what? I wonder about mulch.
Elk jerky, herring. Ben
Mulch
says
and
the
firework.
stalker trout my kids promised they'd eat but don't. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
I feed those to lingcod.
Chum. Chum would probably be good.
Yep. Liver, beef, pork. You getting a prize pack?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do
Oh,
another prize
chicken
pack.
livers.
What's that?
Chicken livers.
Yeah.
And all the gullets are like. I have bought that and thrown. I don't know if it did anything different, but I did.
Deer
use that.
carcasses, liver, beef, pork. Yeah, imagine the blood
Now I'm gonna have to go out and do a test.
on what?
Nah,
Take all these weird
you already
things
know
out
what
there.
works.
Got nothing but time.
Whoa.
Okay.
If it ain't coke, crabs say nope. There you go.
All right, so you talked.
Dumpster
Bait.
dive, fish carts. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we used to do that. We used to go
Yeah,
down
why
to the
not,
charters and go before they take the buckets out and dump back
I
out
have
the
used
ocean.
bottom fish carcasses too, and they do work.
We were really appreciative because when we were kids, we didn't have money like that, and so trade winds and dockside, they would allow us to go down there and bring a trash bag and load it up and take off. It was really nice.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about people stealing pots, Victoria, for sure.
That is
People always
definitely a
talk
thing.
about
I hear
that.
all about these pots being stolen, then I find them all washed up on. I found those buoys all popping up during the slack tide on the South Jetty later on in the year. Yeah.
Well, that or when people like their pot comes up empty. I think a lot of times that's just doors getting stuck or other things.
Last time that me
Yeah.
and Cameron crabbed together, we had to hunt one down for a while. We were chasing it around
turned
and
around
we
with a tide
finally
or something.
found it. I mean, the buoy was dang near under the water, and we finally
Yeah.
found it and got it. So it
Yeah,
does
I
happen.
probably dropped a little deep and a little
Yeah, we
too much
did.
current,
Yeah.
which happens.
Gotta put more shot on there, man.
Got to put some more shot on there. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta layer it down a little more T-line. Yeah. Use freezer vert bacon and pork chop, shad, chicken, and cat food. All right, well, a lot of cool suggestions, and since you guys brought them, Clint, pick a winner.
Oh yeah. What are we giving away?
We're giving
We're
away
giving away a flasher and two
a
spinners.
couple of spinners.
We might need 3 prize packs. Okay, Wally says also have used the pellets and grind them too and make a slurry and then put some carcasses in there. So K Wally throws the whole kitchen sink at him. But K Wally, you won this prize pack. Let us know you won the prize pack at orders@addicted.fishing and email us your address. We'll send it out to you.
I'd fish that.
I would too.
Go, new comments, broski.
Yeah, hang on.
Frisky.
Broski. Okay, we're going to talk about a pot or a ring first. What are we going to do?
Pot.
Someone put beer cans in a buddy's pot they robbed. Oh, I'd be so pissed.
All these people that think that they get their pots robbed, zip tie them with different colored zip ties, and I guarantee you're not getting your pots robbed. Most of the times it's
You know,
Where
they
you
say that.
drop
They
them
say
or
that. But did
door
you see that
open.
this summer? That guy that we can talk about that for a second. Did you see this summer? Washington Fish and Wildlife they had pots disappearing in an area that they generally don't disappear from, and they did a sting, and they actually put trackers on the pots,
Yeah.
and the guy stole 2 of them. and went. And so the enforcement just showed up at this guy's house, and not only did he have the bait pots.
Oh, he had a ton.
Not only that, he had a bunch of other people's
Yes.
pots.
No way.
Yeah, and he got absolutely flipping hammered.
Good.
Like fined. I think they took his boat.
Yeah.
Like they confiscated a lot of stuff.
wow.
Like they absolutely freaking.
It definitely
Hammered.
does happen, but the odds are you lost your pot. Nobody stole it. You lost it.
I'd say this was up in Puget Sound, and then you have a lot of current up there. I get it. I mean, but they literally put some kind of tracker on there, and obviously the guy didn't see the tracker, so they got something figured out and literally found the pot at the guy's house. And it was all they put it. I think I posted it into the group.
That's awesome, though.
But
Play
yeah, it's awesome.
games, win
Good.
stupid
Serves
prizes.
you right if you're
Yeah.
out there stealing and pulling pots that aren't yours, and there's no like, oh, I didn't think it was mine. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone has their own little colored buoys and all their other bullshit.
Well,
they
and
put
you
on
have to
there.
have your name
Everybody's
on
got
it.
their own
You have to have your
special
name on
mark
it now. You're right. At least in our area, it is
Well, at least
required
in Washington.
to have your
right?
name or to have two sets of two things that could identify you, which one being your name and a phone number or a
Or
license
email.
number or something else
Yeah.
on it. Yep. You have to have that on there too. Yeah, good. Yeah, that was a little gratifying knowing that. One time we believed that people were pulling our pots, so we dropped our pots when my dad had a boat in 𝗛𝗥𝗏. And then we went off and dinked around town, and we were like, let's go drive out to the jetty and watch and see if boats, there was a lot of boats out that day, would pull our pots because we could just see it from the lighthouse. And so we sat out there with binoculars for like an hour and no one pulled our pots.
Yeah.
But we were putting a
Trying to
sting-
catch 'em?
Oh, we were gonna. Yeah. Anyways. Okay, so had pots pick, loaded pots, then zero and pot 300 yards off plotter. Yeah. But also too, like if there's zero, a lot of times if they get picked or if they're moving, they're not going to fish very well either. Like if they're dragging and they're going to kind of load up with a lot of pot. They are robbed too. We're not saying they're not robbed larceny at all. But like I said, if you are one of those lucky ones that pick up one of my pots and I catch you in my binoculars, I don't know.
About to
Turn it
catch
into crab
smoke,
bait?
bud.
I don't know.
Yeah, stuff,
I'm going to have a very sternly word for you.
stuff them in your pots.
Yeah,
Your bait?
you will now be crab bait. Yeah, there you go.
Sounds good.
Got it.
Karma will strike. I agree. You do stuff like that, karma will get you.
Karma
Yeah.
will strike. Yeah, you get everything coming to you.
Yep.
Yeah, what comes around goes around.
Mhm.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, many guys with pot stolen on the 𝗪𝗪 Coast Guard caught a guy last year. Hell yeah, good. So I mean, I think enforcement does pay attention to that stuff, which is awesome. Because man, it sucks losing a very expensive pot. Pot or ring? What are we talking about first?
Pot.
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 Okay, guys. I have
whoa.
lots of
Violent.
I have lots of different pots, but I actually brought you guys a pot in here today that we could talk about because there's definitely, I think there are some pots that are better than others, and I think some pots, there's a lot of different pots out there. It's like we have to have the rod talk. It's like there's a million different rods you could go twitching with and catch. So we got to like have that discussion. These are the ones that I like. I feel like for how cost effective these pots are, they do fish very well. I understand that there's guys that believe and would argue with me till the day they die that you have to have like stainless steel pots because it prevents the electrolysis of a pot that's rusting. I can tell you I've got a bunch of older pots that are like rusted like to the core. Like I'm basically going to use those as my overnighters because I basically don't care if they get stolen or disappear anymore because they're that old and there was that much rust that I can tell you they were catching 15 keepers on an hour soak yesterday. Like it did not freaking matter. And then I had these ones, which are my newer ones, and they caught them just as well. So, but a couple things that I think that makes a good pot is first off, they're big. These hoops I think are like the maximum size. I believe there are like some maximum size you can use for recreational with the gridding and with the size of the pot. So we can't make one that's like 4 foot by 4 foot with a bunch of doors.
Catch all your keepers in one pot.
Right, so I don't think you can do that. But one thing I do like about this pot is it does have an internal bait storage thing. So grab the side cam here, Clint, and I'll show you. I really like the pots that have basically this middle mechanism here that's built into the pot that stores your bait. And the reason why I like these a lot is because 95% of the time, well, that was trippy. What's that doing?
Glitch.
Doing something weird. I wonder if it's
Gotta be.
something.
You smash the cord with your ring.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Wow.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, Clint's gonna fix that. But one thing I really, I'm still kind of doing it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe our camera's finally dying. Anyways, this internal bait cage, right? 90% of the time when your pot's not fishing effectively is because your doors are not fishing effectively, which a lot of time is caused by whatever you are using to store your bait inside the pot is preventing doors from swinging as freely as they can and contacting that. So when you have these internal bait storage areas, the door can never swing it. This can never shift. This can never move. I can jam that thing as full of bait as I want. I could grab my other little like containers in there, and I could even add like some other types of bait. If I wanted to do like a slurry bait or the clam guts or whatever, I can do that. But I'm never going to have to deal with doors that are not able to get swung open and to block these. The other thing that I like is that these ones have 3 doors on them. And I think that's a little bit important because if you're crabbing and there's any kind of current and there's any kind of tide and you only have 2 doors and they orient to where the currents are kind of pushing on them, I sometimes don't think you're going to have the easiest access for the crabs to get into the pot over that period of time. But if we have 3 doors and they're all on 3 different angles, I think you have just that much more ability to get crabs into your pot. So that's a huge piece to that.
So just simply accessibility for the crab.
Accessibility for the crab. Leaded line, leaded sinking line, guys. If you are one of those guys, I think it's illegal to use a floating line now, isn't it?
No, but you have to put a weight on it.
You have to have it weighted. But here's the thing: if you're using a floated line out there, and I see it all the freaking time, guys using floating line, and you're one of those guys like, I don't understand where my pot went. My pot's gone. Well, it's because some other boat smacked that floating line, seeing your pot, avoiding it, and going 20 feet to the right or left of it, and then still grabbing that floating line and having to cut it. So, like, if you're using a floating line out there and you're losing pots, you're doing it to yourself. Don't freaking do that. Like, that's dangerous, and it can be, it's really bad. You run the risk of using your pot. So, anyways, leaded line, 2 buoys, and then I have a little kicker buoy just so I can look out there and know exactly which pots are mine. But
imagine
doors.
that too. You'd have green and orange buoys.
Yeah, I have a green and orange ugly buoy there, but I also have the required red and white buoy with my name and number.
And that's
on it
required.
as well. And that's required now, at least in the Columbia River, where we have a couple identification marks on a red and white buoy, and then that's just my other little tag colored buoy. The other thing is doors that have a little bit of weight to them. So what I've done here is I've just pinched a little piece of pencil lead on this door. And you know what? It sucks. I don't have my other doors with me. I didn't think of that. But if you can add a little bit of lead, if you can take sliding egg sinkers and push them up the wires and crimp them to your doors, just so they have a little extra fall down effect. It's really beneficial for these small wires because if you have current and stuff that's working this door and like keeping, if the current's kind of if the door is swaying in the current and keeping that open, I think it just gives another avenue for the crab to get out. And believe it or not, like they can actually push in pretty good on these doors. So you can even add a little more weight to that. Some of my other ones have like 1 ounce egg sinkers on each of these wires, and they're just slid up there and crimped on there. But having a little extra weight to those doors just to help keep them down. You can see I got them on that one.
What do you think that is right there? Like an ounce and a half?
Oh, it's probably like an ounce, another ounce. But like if you can put a couple ounces on them. But yeah, you having a little extra weight to those doors will really improve your ability to catch crabs and keep them in your pots. Yep, so I'm going to read some comments here. Have you ever used Lester's? No idea. Has anybody ever used the crustacean sensation cans from the Sportsman Show? Great results. To do a live feed instead of being a part. Frustrating that you guys choose to do a live feed instead of being a part of the Coastal Steelhead Town Hall. Are your priorities solely profit and to grow your business, Travis? That's a really great question. And considering the fact that we've been probably a little more a part of those town halls than you'd ever actually really be surprised. I also believe that, unfortunately, with the town hall and with the management from WDFW, that what they are only going to basically allow seasons that are going to match the escapement of those wild steelhead. Unfortunately, those numbers, those arbitrary numbers that they've given them, like, that's where the battle is going to need to be taken. Whatever that forecast they come out with is what your season is going to be, and they're going to manage to that. How they get that forecast, what indexes they're actually surveying for spawning grounds, all the other intricacies that go into it, that's the problem. So you're more than welcome to listen to the town hall and see what they got, but the root of the problem isn't going to be in the town hall. It's going to be the mortality rates applied to that. It's going to be how they're actually getting their spawning ground surveys, whether or not, like, we can actually handle one early wild steelhead on the 𝗛𝗥𝗥𝗗 or whatever river it's going to be. Like, we're also not from that area, so we don't really know. But I can tell you, like, good luck. It's a battle that we have talked about extensively for here, and unfortunately, no one gives a shit. So bad news, but it does suck. So yeah, we're talking about crabbing tonight, and we will talk about plenty of winter steelhead coming up the fact. But what's going to happen in that town hall is they're going to listen to your public opinions, and they're going to be like, cool, well, but guess what? These are the numbers, and so this is what we're going to have to do. And then we're going to apply a bunch of crap about, like, no fishing from floating devices, which hasn't had any effect on the Deschutes for the last 40 years. But hey, they're going to apply it too. They're going to ram it down their throat. They're going to be the one thing you control. Never mind the predators. Never mind the other tribal netting. Never mind anything else that goes in there. Never mind ignoring the fact that they should brood stock. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it tonight.
Yeah!
You want to talk about it tonight? Let's do it.
I love cam rats.
It's like completely ridiculous. Those numbers that you're going to get tonight are going to be 100% shoved down your throat. Your opinion doesn't matter. They're going to manage to the numbers in the end.
But I just want to make sure I understand. This guy's complaining about
He's complaining
us.
because we're not talking about it tonight. But the problem is what's going to be talked about tonight in that meeting and what is going to be portrayed in that meeting is already been baked. And whatever, let's say, it's not the next meeting. It's like the number that they're going to get in the meeting is going to be, let's say it's 3,000 fish. Well, we can only catch so many, so we have to manage the fishery to that so many. However, what they're saying for the so many fish that we can catch, that number is wrong, but that number was set 6 months ago. That number was set by the district biologist last year. They're basically applying 10% mortality rates up there when we all know, every sportsman in the Northwest, anybody who's been involved in any kind of program, knows that it's like less than 2.5%. So it doesn't really like, right. So what I'm saying is it's the management protocol. This meeting is going to show you the forecasts, and they're going to be like, whatever these forecasts are, this is how we can allow you to go fishing with these forecasts. The forecasts are bullshit. Everything that they are going to say is bullshit. And they're also managing you within that forecast to like this 10% mortality rate. And, oh, well, we don't think there very many fish spawned a couple years ago when we had low water and we didn't change our spawning indexes. And so like, it's all like, trust me, you can go do that and listen to it. But I'm telling you, like, what they're going to do after the 4th town hall is already baked. Good luck changing it. So
no, but I thought the guy was saying, like, we're like the meeting's going on right now and we're doing this live feed instead of partaking. Yeah, because the guy is sitting here watching the live feed. So what the hell is he doing?
True,
like, why isn't he joining the freaking town hall?
What I'm telling you is it is a 100% fact that whatever they're going to do this year is already freaking baked. The problem is the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, like 6 months ago, a year ago, is the stuff that people have to start paying attention to. Because when we get this forecast and we have this nifty little like back and forth, and they really want the public's opinion and stuff, we're all going to say, well, shit, we should fish every day, because I know guides that have been guiding up there for 30 years who can count how many dead steelhead they've seen on one freaking hand. Right. After 30 years of sitting on the river. But they're going to sit there and tell us that we're killing 10% of them, so that's what we're managing to. It's all a bunch of bullshit. So anyways, have fun. Let us know how it turns out. I'll be listening. We'll be listening to it tomorrow. Like, and I guarantee you, like, it ain't going to change from what tomorrow it is till the 4th town hall.
I really need to make a
they'll listen to your, but they'll listen to your public opinion. So let me know. Let's know how it goes. Anyways. Okay.
Okay,
so
back to
talking about crabbing because
I knew that was going to come up.
It's just, it
some
sucks.
point. I knew
Travis, it sucks. Like, I get it, dude. It sucks. I can't even talk about it without seeing straight, because it is a flipping dog and pony show, dude. It is 100%. So it does suck. And believe me, we have ranted on this repeatedly, and I can pretty much tell you like how it's going to go.
Very repetitive.
But and it sucks. I get it. So
cat
Back to
food and
crabbing.
crab.
So
crabs.
yeah, so that's why we're all crabbing during late coho season, because they got to shut down all your rivers that you have viable coho fisheries through December for, because you can't touch one freaking wild steelhead
Because you're gonna kill it.
early because it might die, which we all know damn good and well it's not. Like, we've proven that in every broodstock program for the last 24 years in Oregon. But they're going to tell you that. And then when you try to bring that up in the public meeting, they're going to like either not answer your question, they're going to talk you down and say, well, that's just what the management protocol calls for. And then they're going to just do it anyway. So that's what's going to happen. It sucks.
Side
I gotta
note,
get off it.
Their minds have been made.
Trust me, Travis, we will talk about it.
side note, does wild steelhead carcass work in crab
Wild
traps?
Yeah.
steelhead carcass works
Yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
for crabbing bait. You got to go to Southern Oregon to kill them, or you got to get them from other places. I don't actually probably. I wonder if it's not illegal to possess a wild steelhead carcass, because there's places you can buy it.
You just have to
There's
get
places.
it from certain people.
Yeah, there's places you could buy it. So theoretically, I guess
That's
you
risky
could at
business.
some point in
That's
time
some
use it.
risky
But
business.
we're definitely not.
Video. See if it works.
We definitely
We'd
don't
have
need
to
to
put a disclaimer
advocate
out.
for that and put a disclaimer
do
on
not kill these
that
fish.
and not
Yeah.
talk about using that. No, and we all
I'm out
love
of that one.
we all love wild steelhead, and that's the other travesty of it, because
I'm
we
just-
love them more than the guys that are just trying to make work and make studies so they can just keep studying them to get paid. That's another thing.
It was a joke, and also trying to throw gasoline
It
on
is
the
kind
fire.
of, it actually was kind of funny. Anyways,
A bunch of adipose fins in a bait bag.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it sucks. But yeah, we will talk about it in
That's
depth, guys.
definitely
I think
gonna be
this
coming
first meeting, we see the forecast, and then we get to see kind of like where the
grounds
things
are.
are going to fall, and then there will be discussion and give and take. Like, well, you're only allowed to handle like 400 steelhead on this system instead of 2,400 steelhead, which if you actually had a real mortality rate applied to it, you would. But here's your 400. How do you guys want to deal with it? And we'll hear about it later. And yeah, it's
Way to poke the bear, guys.
anyway. Let's talk about the fun things. Let's talk about a ring.
Rings.
Well, wait, don't you want to talk about dropping those pots? Like,
Oh yeah, we'll talk about some tides and stuff, because I think people want to talk. But this is also a super fun
Yes,
and super cost effective a way, and you don't have to like let your pot sit there and soak for 2 hours before you pull. So this is a ring, guys, and there's definitely some tricks and stuff with these old rings that you want to fish. Go side cam there, bro, because I'm sure a lot of people see this. Now, one thing cool about rings is obviously you're not dealing with doors, you're not dealing with nets, you're not dealing with a lot of BS. You put the bait in the middle, this guy lays flat on the bottom. The only way it's going to lay flat, though, is if you don't have a lot of current. So during slack tides, or best for these, if you have any kind of current that's putting a little resistance, I've got this other float to help keep this float up here to help keep the ropes kind of pulled up. But if you have any kind of resistance on your buoy, so if you have a lot of current, a lot of tension on your buoy, kind of lifting that ring up, it's going to prevent the crabs from getting into the ring. So this is kind of one thing you definitely want to fish in softer water, off softer parts of the dock, or during the softer tides.
Crab can't jump.
Crab can't
work
jump.
Very well.
Crab can't jump. But these work really well. And what's funny about these, and I had it happen. I had it happen yesterday. You know, you drop this out, you put some good bait in there that they can't really run away with, right? So chicken legs work great. But it's weird. Like, I'll put a ring down. No one likes ring coming from a guy married for 20 years. That's pretty
Yeah.
good. I'm married 20 years. Okay, go off the side cam here, because we'll talk about the ring a little bit. One thing that's crazy about rings, at least in the Columbia, right, is if you put a ring down there and you let it set for a really long period of time, you set a short period of time, 10, 15 minutes, you get the crabs in the area, you get lots of little ones, couple keepers, like it can be really productive way. When you're pulling it, you also don't want to pull and then stop, because it kind of causes the ring to kind of collapse on itself.
Settle
And so
again.
instead of having this nice basket, if you stop, it kind of pops forward and dumps your crabs. You also want to make sure you pull them straight up and down. Got a little boat driving skills if you're doing it. But you let it set 10, 15 minutes, pull it up, you get the crab in the area. You let it soak an hour, you get like 1 or 2 big crab. And I'm talking like big
You think they
crowd.
just come
They
in and just
I
dominate?
100% believe that.
Well,
Because I've literally had this bait sitting here, and I've let it, like, I've dropped some rings. So what I usually, my routine is I have a few rings in the boat. Like I said, board clients, right? So I drop the rings real fast, and then I go drop pots. And that takes a little bit of time if you're going to drop, 6, 8, 10 pots. And then go back to the rings, and by that time, they're ready to go. Pull the rings up, reset them, wait 10 minutes, pull the rings up, wait 10 minutes. Well, now it's almost time to pull your pots, right? So it's a good little time waster, but you let them soak a long time. I swear to you, you will catch a crab that I have physically not been able to get into the doors of a pot. It's that big.
Wow.
my
like
biggest one is
7
like
inches,
9
8
and 3
inches.
quarters.
Right. 9 3/4 around that. I mean,
Jeez.
you will catch I've caught a crab in this ring where his legs were almost touching the outside of this ring, and it was only one crab.
Survival of the fittest.
Like,
I guess.
he came in there and just looked at all those
Right,
little
yeah.
freaking ass crab and said, you know what?
It's funny you
This
say
is
that.
mine.
And he's just sitting there like this, eating in the pot, and you pull it up, and he's just there. And he's like you said, almost 9 inches across the back. He can't, and I've tried to put them into the ring, and it won't work.
That
Or into
nine-
a pot.
That
That's crazy.
9-inch crab that we got. It's funny you say that because we normally just throw our crabs into a bucket and nothing ever happens. When we put that big one inside
He
that
crawled
bucket,
out of it, didn't he?
no, he
No.
he snipped off all the other crabs' legs and their pinchers.
No way.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously. We
Survival of
looked
the
back in there
fittest.
and there was just legs and stuff and
Yeah.
just sad crabs in there. They're just like Debo got in the tank and just
Territorial.
stole their chains. it was
yeah, king of the ring. Exactly.
King of
Totally.
the ring. That's a good
Sounds
one.
like a Cameron. Jim, come on, man. Have I ever led you astray? When I said we were going to go catch 10 steelhead, did we not? Anyways, okay. Like, I'm telling you, put the ring out. Now, I don't know if this is also like in the Columbia River. Like, it's not like one of the public docks, like where, there's a lot of people crabbing. It's kind of, you're on your own a little bit. But I'm telling you, like, yeah, Crabzilla. Exactly, Sean. Crabzilla.
But see,
Like, and we caught one that was like significantly bigger. Like, honestly, on our first drop, we pulled one ring and it had like 7 or 8 little guys in it. And then we pulled this other ring, it had 2 crabs in it. One of them was that big dog and the other one was another keeper male. And it's like, I'm telling you, like, there can be freaking.
But isn't the
It's
risk
sad.
that all the little ones and everything come in, eat all the bait, and then
Yeah.
just walk out?
You want
right?
to make sure
Like,
you have like chicken legs or something. You can't put like little pieces of like clam or stuff. You got to give them something that keeps them there. So you can't also let these things go too long either. I did have that happen. I put some clam guts in there and I didn't put it in one of the other cages. And we came back and I'm like, oh, that ring's gonna have a couple of giants in there, and it had nothing. They cleaned it out and already gone to somebody else's pot. So. Yeah, no, rings are great for kids. Yell
Yes.
faster. No, I was yelling real at my clients and they were pulling it in yesterday. So yeah, but it is really cool and they're very, very cost effective. And if you're really one of those impatient persons and you want to just like set a string, like if you set 6 of these rings and just like drop one and just pull, drop one, pull, drop one, pull, you can literally do your whole day just on rings because you're just, by the time you pull one, it's time to pull and just work your rings.
Yeah.
This is
And
a
then
really
your
good
bait's always
crabby
fresh.
train.
Like if you drop a pot like in a bad spot, or you drop your pot and something happens with your doors or your bait or it lands wrong, like you're putting a lot of time and effort. Like, I'm gonna let that thing soak for 2 hours. And if it's not fishing effectively, well then that you pull your pot 2 hours later and you think you're gonna get a bunch of crab and you don't.
Right.
These, like, you're constantly like, oh, try a little deeper. Nope. Try a little shallower. Nope. Kind of move down.
We've used these primarily for me off the docks, anywhere there's a pier or dock, but we have thrown these off of beaches before and just hucked them out
just
there.
like frisbee them.
Yeah, we used to just chill down get a pot of boiling water just off of beach wood.
So they were
and-
literally coming in live. and
oh,
you're
we'd
like,
pull them in, check them,
Dude, that's
throw them
so
inside there.
cool.
But I was kids and we were just down there eating crabs. We used to do that. We used to just pull just straight off the beach and pull them in and get crabs out of them that way too. They were really good off of docks though.
Yeah.
Docks.
Yeah,
I like
they're-
that idea about the beach, like kind of the
That'd be
beach
cool.
party and stuff. Because I can tell you, so we got out there
I'd be all
yesterday,
about that.
and the low tides. We'll talk a little bit about tides here, and then we'll wrap up, guys. So yesterday went out to do a little crab, and tide was like low tide was at like 10:20, And I kind of had a little bit of a time crunch with some of the guys that needed to get off the water a little earlier. But so I'm like, well, we'll start at 9. And it was kind of not a big outgoing tide. When you're crabbing, and whether you're doing it from the bank, docks, anything, it is generally better to crab just when the water is moving the least. The crabs will undig from the sand, they roam around. So whether it's a big outgoing, and a lot of people think all incomings are really good, but even some of those really big, heavy incomings are good because they'll move crab in, but it's like they don't. Your gear doesn't fish that well. It weeds up. Your pots get buried. So even like your incoming tides that are super big, they don't fish well until they like come in and then start to slow down towards the high, and then that's when it gets really good. So you want to make sure you're crabbing like kind of generally at times where there's just less water movement or slack tides. But we got out there and I dropped my pots and I sunk a couple of my buoys right away. And I'm like, oh crap. But I knew where it wasn't going to be like that long till it backed off. Right. Well, I'm like, well crap, I'm not going to be able to fish my rings. So I just went into shore as close as I could. And then I saw a couple other pots out there in like 10, 12 feet of water. And I kind of noticed that the buoy wasn't pulling real hard. I'm like, we can try to throw our rings here. So we threw these in 12 feet of water. And that's where we caught the mondoid. And shoot, we had like 6 keepers and like 2 quick little like 15-minute ring sets in 12 feet of water. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I wasn't to where you could throw them off the beach, but probably pretty damn close. And Damien tells me all the time, like they just go around in like 6 feet of water and they practically are just walking around and look down. Oh, there's one.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard of there's some bays where some buddies of mine go. He goes out with his wife and they do that at night on the right tides. They go out and they just walk around with just their boots on. And,
just the rakes.
Yeah, and just pluck them right out.
I
haven't
never
done that yet, but I want to do the rake.
We should go. You guys want to go like when we have like a crappy December night or something like that? Yeah. We should all go just make a video that way and just go do our first time raking.
I want to do the rake.
Cool.
Have you ever thought about putting enter signs on your doors?
What?
Putting enter signs on your doors, so that,
little neon open, little flashing
just
signs.
Like here, inside here.
I bet the light would help attract them, because that's actually a good question. Like how old? Yeah, and I'm glad you guys told me how deep do you go with your pots. Like so, where I crab in Columbia, like I won't go over 35, 40 feet. There's no reason to. But I know like in the Puget Sound, sometimes they're crabbing at like 100, 120 feet for Dungeness. I know some places is like the deepest you can go in a bay is 12 foot. So they crab in 12 foot. So I don't really know. I've only crabbed in the Columbia River and out in the ocean, but I wouldn't really know, but I know it can change, and you want to have about at least 3 times the length of your rope, I guess, as your depth for that current and whatnot.
That makes sense. Gotta have enough shot on there.
Yep.
Got to.
There is that.
Yeah, knee turrets is good. 35 foot. Yeah, Justin. Yeah, I was at low tide, Justin, and I went right down. I kept 30 foot on my depth finder, and I just kept dropping my pots, and then pulled them up, and an hour and a half later, and we were done.
Do you ever mark a crab?
What do you mean mark?
Like mark them on the sonar?
No.
Like a pile of them?
No.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. I should have busted out the old live.
Biomass.
Just a biomass.
Yep,
I should probably try.
Here.
You know what I'm crabbing,
I think
you notice
do.
they are definitely moving around a lot. Like all of a sudden you'll just be destroying them, and then you'll go through a time, and even with the females to males, like they're separated a lot, and then all of a sudden you'll go through these spurts where you're just getting nothing but females.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it dies off for a minute, and then all these males come, and then you're just back to rallying on them.
It is kind of weird, like how like they do like kind of segregate certain times of years.
They definitely do.
Because sometimes you go out in the ocean and you drop in, it's like you'll have 35 keeper females. Well, not keeper females, but keeper-sized females.
Right.
In your pot.
Plan on going before the commercials go in, because once the commercials go in, it's just all females.
That's what I hear. By that time, though, I'm chasing steelhead. So
yeah. So really quick, I know we only got 10 minutes left. Let's just talk the final pieces, cooking them, like from cleaning them or cooking them whole or half.
My favorite part.
That.
Yeah. So, it's funny. Like, I keep telling Marlon this. I'm like, we need to do like a really good like cookout live feed, like in the kitchen at my house or something like that, like for a live feed. I feel like we could.
Crab one at the beach house.
The crab butter.
Yeah, but like a live, like one of these, like Wednesday night at my place. Crab butter. Let's talk about crab butter, because funny story. Last time Jordan and I went crabbing, he like grabbed some crab butter and drank it on the video, and like, oh, this is so good. It tastes like egg flour soup. Yeah, he was sick for 4 days afterwards. So I am not a yeah. He was like, yeah.
Dude,
That's what I
Every
say.
time
I'm
I
like,
see him eating all that raw stuff,
I'm
the only
like,
thing he got
yeah.
me to do is eat the spot prawn. I did eat that, but
yeah, I did the spot prawn too. But
I made
guys-
butter.
I do like some
and
sushi, but crab butter is just freaking disgusting. So
Put
last
booze in
question
it.
of the night:
Put booze in it.
I'm a crab butter.
are you guys the type of
Put-
people, like sane human beings, that don't like their crab cooked in guts? And do you clean your crab first before you cook them, or do you cook them whole and then clean after, and then potentially eat the crab butter and all that good stuff? What do you guys do? Let's hear it. I want to see this. How many people like? Because what I like to
This
do,
deserves a prize back.
I like to take the crab upside down, whack him in half, split him, boom, boom, boom.
That's what I
You
do.
boil 2 halves. You can get more in the pot. They cook cleaner. They cook faster. But what is it? What is it that you guys like to do?
But on that same line, what about steaming? So I bought
Oh,
a pot
yeah.
that is for steaming because it's way easy, like
Steaming.
than boiling, because that's a huge pot and a lot of water.
Yeah.
Versus just like 2 inches in the bottom with the lid on, you can
Right.
steam and turn.
that's
Like,
a lot more crabs.
Yeah, and if you steam or cook them, yeah. So a lot of people are onto that steaming thing, and so
See?
am I.
Clean
It
and
is,
steam,
it is
yep.
cool. I put about 4 inches of water because you don't want to run out of water because you'll burn your crab, unless you have a little separator in there. Yeah, steaming crab, guys, works just as well as boiling, and a lot of people like it because it doesn't blanch out the meat.
Yeah. I think you get more flavor in the meat steaming.
Yeah. Yeah, no crab butter. Ugh.
So,
Yeah.
Jason, you like
Yeah.
crab butter.
You
So
like
the one
crab
time
butter.
the one time I tried it, they were like, "Oh, you got to pour some Grand Marnier or like some booze or something." So it's like, it was
Kills
crab.
it. Vodka.
It was crab butter,
Yep.
and then we poured booze in it.
It doesn't take much too.
No,
That sounds absolutely awful.
You don't even taste the alcohol.
most things gross me out.
Oh, so you
and
only
I-
taste the crab guts.
I drank it.
Oh, perfect.
Because that's what's good.
I drank it twice.
I thought you were saying. Yeah.
And everything
Is it a little
grosses me out.
questionable now?
Maybe
No
it was 'cause
crab
there was
poop
booze
soup.
in it? I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly, dude. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, crab poop soup. That's what it looks like too.
It does.
Something.
Looks
It is so
disgusting.
disgusting.
That's what I thought it was. I thought it was like poop or something.
It's the guts.
Clean them and cook them. We got everything else first. Right? Why would you want to cook them in the guts of the
I mean, you
fish?
don't do like
Crab
4,
poop soup.
5, 6 crab butters. You do one, and that's.
Oh, it's that good. You
Are
only
gonna
do
stop
one.
filleting your
Yeah.
fish?
You wouldn't just drink like 10 of them.
Okay, so the first time I ever tried it, I did have like 4 or 5, and I had a pretty good stomachache. I mean, bad stomachache the next day.
Weird.
But
I can't see how that
It's
possibly
so
happened.
good. I like it.
Weird.
I like it.
Yeah.
Gross.
So a lot of people do that method, Tanner. I always follow the 13-minute. Yeah, that's like putting 2 elk turds in your scotch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except for this wasn't an elk turd; it was living in the ocean, eating dead chicken and dead tuna and dead razor clam guts and dead salmon carcasses and meat carcasses and God knows what.
Next
Yeah,
we won't be
but that
filleting
sounds
fish
really good.
anymore neither. We'll just be taking them home and just cooking them.
What
Hi,
is
we are
Ben now?
civilized humans.
I am
One butter per
slightly
trip.
Less civilized.
You want disgusting
Must be a
Pepsi and
Hair
crab.
guy thing, right?
Must be a long-haired guy thing. Yeah, that is a fact. Ugh. Anyways, what Tanner said: outside boil, put the crabs in, let it reboil 12 to 15 minutes. I always do the rule of 13 minutes. You're good to go. If you steam them, though, get that bottom 4 or 5 inches of your pot just rolling super hot. You put your crabs in. A lot of times it'll cool off the water a little bit just from kind of the, just putting the cold crab in the pot itself, but it does tend to steam up a lot faster. And when you see it rolling and that steam out of it again, 13 minutes, and it'll be done as well. And those are kind of the best ways to do. My favorite way to eat them, though, by far, is making crab cakes. Crab cakes. I am a crab cake fan.
Crab fettuccine.
Yes.
Crab
Crab cakes
fettuccine.
are
You
so
and my
good.
wife will get along. She makes a good crab fettuccine.
So when you put them whole in the water, you
Mm-hmm.
wait till it starts boiling again to start the time.
Yes.
Same with the steam.
Yes. I wait till it's rolling steam because I don't want to have any, I don't want to like put it in, cool it down for half the time and then have it only be up at the right temperature for half the time. And I kind of tend to.
Dakota, we won't know that till like last minute. They like to do that to us when they do that sturgeon thing.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
very, just right at the last minute, they're going to give it to us, and everybody has to rally to try to get in on it. So,
Yeah.
I've never had this problem after I cooked them, but is there a way to store crab if you don't eat it right away? Like, if you cook it, can you freeze the meat?
It's really hard. So I've tried to I've done the freeze it in milk and do all that stuff. And like honestly, like we ate. So I brought home just my limit yesterday, and I ate. My family ate the 6. There's 4 of us, so it wasn't like we just went pig down on super hard on crab. And then I gave 6 more to the neighbors next door. Like, I find it really hard to store the crab meat. I don't know. What do
I
you guys
did know a
think?
guy
Delicate.
that would make the crab cakes, and then he would vacuum seal them like that, and then he would just bust them out and fry them up, and that way wasn't bad at all. But I think it might be
so pre-making the cake.
Right, and then so you just have these cakes in there, and I think just when you're frying it with the butter, like you can't really tell.
Someone just said that we freeze. Oh, well, this must be a thing that I completely missed, because someone said we freeze crab patties, make crab cakes, vacuum seal. They are good a year later. Oh, crap. Okay.
Yeah, I've never had mine.
Every time I'd go over there, I'd be like, bust out some more of them crab cakes.
Oh, shit. That's the move. Yeah, I love crab cakes. So I used to make these cowboy candy jalapenos where I boiled them in like sugar and vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
And then like they were just these sweet. And so I'd take a crab cake and then take a little sour cream, put a little sour cream on it, little, and then you take chopped up of those cowboy candy jalapenos and put it on there. I have literally made myself physically ill eating as many of those things I could shove in my gut. Like seriously, those things are freaking bomb.
With a little crab butter?
With no crab butter. Disgusting. And most of the time for like guys,
Smoked crab?
Smoked crab.
yeah,
Never done
ooh,
that.
I can't say I've done that. Wait, who said smoked crab? Where is that?
It was a question though. I don't know if that's
Oh.
been there, done that.
Oh, but that sounds good.
That does sound really good.
I don't even know if that's possible though. Is it?
Candied smoked crab.
I ate some smoked tuna belly
Oh my
today,
goodness,
and it
dude.
was probably some of the best fish I've ever eaten in my life.
It was so good.
Oh, tuna. Yeah, dude.
Tuna
Albacore.
belly.
Yeah.
Bait,
No.
not bait.
Mm-mm.
Smoked
eats.
crab, like on the grill or in the Traeger.
Fishing suspended last week at Rainier, got run nonstop. Raid snap, sea line. He said, if you got ran out 300 plus and your drag was where it should have been, you probably had a fish and you got sea line.
There was sea lions out there on Monday when I was out there too. Yeah.
Traeger crab. Huh.
Traeger crab, yeah. I
Well,
haven't
Ben
done that one.
Johnson or Ben Adams, you're watching. Ben Adams.
Yeah,
let's
you
see
can
you.
smoke anything. New video idea.
Yeah. Come on, Ben.
Traeger crab.
Yeah, Jim, I am down with the. I need to make a batch of that for especially now that we're in the crabbing
Oh
season.
yeah. So what's your crab cake recipe?
Dude, honestly, I kind of like take the crab meat. I put an egg in there. I put a little mayo, Ritz cracker, green onion, some parsley, and just kind of like
Ritz cracker.
yeah, I
huh?
just take Ritz cracker and just crumple it up, and I just kind of mix it until I get like I don't really have ratios. I just kind of get to the consistency that I want, and then quick fry on that just to kind of cook the egg down. Crab's already cooked, and then just get a nice golden fry.
Yeah,
on it.
you're right. We
Oh.
need to do a live show at your house. You need to do this. Yeah. No, next
Yeah, we
week
need
we're
to.
doing this.
I think a
Make sure
George,
you keep one whole. So
I
can
think a
have
George
crab.
Foreman grill would be good for that.
Oh yeah, you want to put it on a grill or a Blackstone.
Yeah, the George Foreman grill.
Mm-hmm. Get them both sides. Yeah. Smoked crab. Anyways, okay. Well, one last thing, guys. If you guys want to do any kind of crabbing, I do a bunch of crab trips between now and the end of December, and I'll be more than happy to take you out. And at the end of the day, I will generally clean and have the crabs for you guys, but we also can cook them right there in the marina hole if you're one of those weird people that like to eat crab guts and crab poop soup. Like freaking long hair all here. Anyways, so a lot of cool stuff there, and I'm sure we'll talk about crabs here in the very. Cam needs to center pin a crab snare. Oh my god, we're just
Center
kidding.
pin it? Oh, great.
Oh, dude, you got to pin them crabs. You get the perfect drag-free drift, so you can actually catch the crab.
I can set it over your shoulder, the trap, and take a picture
With
of
a
your
crab like this.
crab.
Thumbnail, bitch.
Oh, I might have to bust out the center pin the next time we go to a crabbing episode for you guys.
When we do our calendar, that'll be December.
Yeah, someone shirtless. Yeah, I can tell you that is not happening.
What do you have going on?
Yeah, spicy with
When
jalapeno.
is that? When?
You got to have some fishing trips or something. I went out with you today, and it was amazing. So
I do. I have a handful of days next week. November's getting pretty full for me. I think I only have 4 days available in November. But if fishing stays good, I'll be booking first couple weeks of December, and then I'll take some time off, and then we roll right into winter steelhead.
Yeah.
get on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing
And
today.
guys,
I mean, we
and guys, like
more
I
than double
always,
digited, and it was fantastic. One of the best times I've had in a long time.
It was a good day.
I always preach too. If you guys want good steelhead days, if you want good salmon days, if you want good anything days, always book early. Do not wait, because if you book with a guide early enough, he's going to put you on good days. But if you wait to hear that it's good, chances are you're going to get the leave.
Right, and I hear that a lot from
that
people. They're like,
early.
I try to book with Cameron all the time, or Popov, or any one of the guys, like anybody that has a real big name. And I'm like, you needed to do that last year.
Yeah.
Almost like if you wait until the fish are being caught, like you're already done. Like,
I mean, I saw you posted today for
September
stuff.
stuff. Yeah,
next
like
year.
well, it's funny. So like my buoy tent, like so my
It's
buoy
almost
tent,
booked.
my buoy
I
tent
bet.
already. I have like 2 days left. I know Victoria got a couple seats on one of my last few days that I had, and my September is already half. And we're not like, but even winter steelhead, it's like even just stuff coming up. It's like that's already like half full. Like you need to get anytime you guys want to go. I know we talk about this stuff kind of last minute because if you guide enough, you definitely have days here and there. But it's really good right now for coho. Hit Jason up. If you guys want to go crabbing,
Get in on
hit
it.
me up. All that good stuff. Anyways, you guys know the drill, and you know where to find us. So. With that said, I don't think we've got anything upcoming other than we'll do next week. Oh, one real quick thing. Jonathan, he said, I like the different topics you guys do. I'd like to see some more on solo safety, wading safety, etc. Jonathan, we usually do one of those, especially as we get into the winter steelhead season. I know it's trib season now, guys are fishing rivers, but we definitely do like some safety and some etiquette live feeds here and there.
Especially because winter steelhead fisheries, sometimes you have to fish from the bank.
Yep.
Because that matters.
Yep. Yes, sir. So yeah, make sure. Yeah. So we'll do that, but we appreciate you guys' suggestions on any of these live feeds. If we don't know what we're talking about or going on next week, but we will figure it out, and we will see you guys then. Thanks, Charles, for coming in tonight too. Appreciate it.